Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to Behind the Ball, and today is going to be my video on how I think the signing of BOUBACAR Kamara will affect Aston Villa. I know it's been a while, but I'm trying to make these videos now a little bit more easier for me. Presentation wise, maybe not as exciting to look at, but definitely if you want to put it on in the background, listen to it and then discuss down in the comments. Hopefully we can get kind of like a YouTubey podcast type vibe going on. I'll see how this video does and go from there. But if you are new around here, if you are existing, leave a like, comment so I know that you guys are still around and are going to enjoy this type of video. And obviously subscribe, notifications on if you are new. Hopefully we will be able to build a great Aston Villa type community over this summer, which I think is going to be very exciting. But without further ado, let's get into BOUBACAR Kamara and how he's going to change Aston Villa. So I think to get into it, we're going to have to look at how Kamara is as a player. Obviously, we all know about him, French defensive midfielder, 22 years of age, come from Marseille on a free transfer, which I think is absolutely fantastic to get him on a free. He's just over 6 feet tall. He's played 34 games in the league this year, getting 1 goal, 1 assist. But, you know, you may think that's low, but we'll get into that, why it is afterwards. 5 games in the Europa League, 7 games in the Europa Conference League, and 2 games in the Coupe de France. In the Europa League, pretty much played all of their games, sat out one of the games and was captain for one of the games, and in the Conference League played all but one, which he was suspended for. Obviously getting to the semi-finals against Feyenoord, and then actually interestingly, when he played centre-back in the second leg, they kept a clean sheet, so one to look out for. He can deputise at centre-mid, but centre-back, but majority of the time he is playing as a CDM, and we'll get into that a little bit later on as well. Obviously played 34 games for Marseille when they came second in their league. Obviously, I mean, second in that league is pretty much first, because no one's ever going to beat out PSG, are they? Let's be honest. No one has the money to kind of compete with that. But in terms of how he plays as a player, he is an out-and-out CDM. He started his career as a centre-back, has always sort of progressed naturally further forward. I think he probably has the talent to play further forward, but CDM is where he is, you know, most comfortable. As you can see from sort of some of the pictures running across the screen, a natural tackler, loves to get a sliding tackle in as well. When I've watched sort of probably an hour of highlights of him over the past year in League, and when I heard that we were going to get linked with him, and obviously when we did sign him a couple of days ago, loves to tackle, loves to stay back, and he loves to play simple passes, which I think is something that Aston Villa are missing out on. If we pull up how Kamara plays, this is kind of the system that I see Steven Gerrard going for. That's the kind of system that we've sorted, or we've settled with this season. It's the 4-3-3 with the holding midfielder. As you can see here, Kamara operates as a pivot at the bottom, the base of the midfield, and he drops below the centre-back sometimes, almost creating a back five to give an extra bit of protection, you could say, to the defence, and also to allow the other players to get further up the pitch. Generally, Marseille do play with the one CDM, but from my research, I can tell that they also do play with 2 pivots at the bottom of like a 4-2-3-1, which we have seen Gerrard use again, and sometimes we do go for the 2 up front as well, so possibly 2 defensive mids, 2 attacking midfielders in there, or even if it's just a flat 2 or 3 across the middle. He naturally kind of gravitates towards the more defensive side of things, and he's pretty much just someone who will open up play for everyone else. He'll drop really deep in between the centre backs, give them an outlet, someone to pass to, and then he'll just start pinging the ball about, getting the pressure off of us. We know that the Premier League, a lot of teams like to press. It's probably the fittest, most competitive league in the world. Everyone's running high distances. Everyone's going for that Klopp, like Gegan press or whatever you call it. Everyone's on that now. Fitness is a big thing in football. The press is a big thing in football. And what he does is literally alleviate that pressure, finds the little gaps. He doesn't really go forward too much. And when he does, he's pretty efficient with his passing again. He plays short, snappy passes. And then when you need him to, he can ping a ball out to the left and right mid, or possibly the centre mid, who have split to give him that kind of extra space in the middle and find them. Obviously, the defensive side of things, the CDM side of things, is exactly what Villa have needed over the past sort of season or two. It's blatantly obvious. We've been using Douglas Luiz there. We're using Nakamba there, who does a good job, but he is limited in his kind of play. He is limited to sort of how he is on the ball. Defensively, he's great, don't get me wrong, but he's almost a bit of a budget Kante, if we're being honest. He doesn't really have the technical ability to kind of spread the ball and actually sort of dominate the play how he wants. Kamara plays the game to his own tempo. He doesn't kind of change how he's playing to dictate how the other team is, and I think that's really something that we'll need. Now, something that's interesting about this signing is what it's going to do to our current roster. You look at our midfield, how it is at the moment. You've got Douglas Luiz, you've got John McGinn, and then you've got the star boy Jacob Ramsey. Where are we going to fit these guys in? Douglas Luiz, I think, does operate better as a number 8, and it's going to allow him to play that number 8 role more. But is he going to play number 8 over someone like Jacob Ramsey and John McGinn, being our 2 centre mids who have a bit of sort of freedom to roam forward and back? Does Jacob Ramsey drop to the bench? I don't think McGinn drops to the bench personally, and I do think we are going to use Kamara to operate as that one-person pivot, the base of the midfield triangle, and you give those 2 other centre mids have a little bit more freedom and a little bit more sort of creative freedom to progress forward onto the pitch, to be a bit more ambitious with their passing, to go on runs, maybe not to track back as much. You know, if it's a counter attack, maybe only one of them needs to fully track back. One can stay as an outlet for either Kamara or the other centre mid to ping that ball to them. You know, John McGinn is always going to run 15-20 kilometres a game. It's just who he is as a player. He gets his big backside stuck into everyone, and he sprints for 90 minutes straight and never looks like he's getting tired. He can be susceptible to a couple of sloppy passes, and maybe that's why we want to keep all 3 of them. From what I've heard at the moment, Aston Villa have no plans to sell any of our key players, i.e. McGinn, Luiz, definitely not Jacob Ramsey. So those 3 players seem like they're safe, but I can't see them beating out Kamara to a starting spot, because all 3 of them, you look at them, and actually all 3 of them aren't really natural CDMs. McGinn and Luiz can deputise as a CDM. I think Luiz's game is really, really restricted when he plays a CDM. He's much better playing further forward as a number 8. McGinn is a box-to-box midfielder all day long. He's not a pure CDM, and Ramsey's more of an attacking midfielder than anything. I'm not even going to get into sort of the Carney Chukwuemekers and the Morgan Sansons of the world, because I don't think they're really going to be in with a look in. I think if we get Carney to sign a new deal, he's going to have to get used to coming off the bench again. I think when he had his game against Burnley, he didn't look all that impressive. I think Sanson is probably on the chopping block to get sold pretty early on in summer. So those are really the 4 midfielders that we have at the moment. Apparently, we're still after Calvin Phillips. I'm interested to see how that one develops. But Kamara does seem like a marquee signing. He's going to be our CDM. He's going to be that protection. And he's going to be the player that's going to solidify that CDM spot for 35, 36, 37, maybe even all 38 games of the Premier League next season, obviously injury depending. So it is going to be interesting who is going to take up those other 2 CDM roles. Me personally, I don't know. Is it going to? I don't know if I'd prefer a John McGinn and a Jacob Ramsey, because they're a little bit more attacking minded than Douglas Luiz. They get more goal contributions, which is what we need from our midfield going forward. Or would you guys prefer to see possibly either McGinn or Ramsey drop to the bench, and Luiz given a bit more creative freedom to roll him as a number 8, or the other option is, you know, obviously financial fair play is a thing. You know, you have to make your profit somehow. Are we going to sell either McGinn or Douglas Luiz? I think we could probably get about 30, 40 mil for Douglas Luiz. And with Kamara coming in, Jacob Ramsey developing at the speed that he is, and John McGinn being such a key player for us, people arguing that he should be the captain next season. Do I think that Luiz is in trouble? Maybe we could sell him to get a bit of profit and then invest it somewhere else in the squad where we're a little bit weaker? Possibly. That would definitely be something that I want to hear down below in the comments. So you look at this Aston Villa team, this is the picture that we tweeted out literally a day before the final game of the season. And what does the signing of BOUBACAR Kamara, as a final summary, what does it change in this Aston Villa team? And you look at some of the players in this photo, Leon Bailey, like I've already mentioned, McGinn, Luiz, Ramsey, Chukwuemeka, Timo Robertson. You know, is it going to change their careers a bit? Coutinho, we've seen him used sometimes as a CDM because we're still trying to figure out the Bundia and Coutinho debate. You know, can they both start on the wing, or does one of them need to drop into CDM to allow for a pure winger on the wing, a bit of a pacey winger? Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins, those types of players. It's such a big signing because you look at this team and it's screaming out for a proper CDM, a proper holding midfielder. You know, City have it in Rodri. Manchester United probably still looking for it, but even they kind of have it in like a Fred type player. You know, you look at Liverpool, they have it in sort of a Thiago, a Fabinho, that type of player that just solidifies that midfield, offers the protection to the back five, or kind of enters into a back six almost, and it just allows so much more freedom going forward. I think McGinn is a great midfielder. I think Jacob Ramsey has the ability to get into double figures for goals and assists, to be honest, if he keeps on this marauding midfielder role that he is. You know, yes, it does cut out some opportunities possibly for younger players, but, you know, this is a Villa team that we want to be challenging for top 8. And I understand if you have a special talented kid, he'll get anyone out of that team. If Chuck Mawaker is as good as he thinks and as good as everyone else has, you know, bigged him up to be, I'm not going to say he is off that Burnley performance, he will be good enough to push a John McGinn, a Jacob Ramsey and a Louise out of that team, out of training alone. He will be good enough to do it. It's going to allow our forward players to stay forward a bit more, and not have to worry so much about the defensive side of things. It's a fantastic signing, and on a free transfer for a 22-year-old prospect like BOUBACAR Kamara, who has Champions League experience finishing second in one of the top leagues in the world, playing against the likes of Mbappe, Neymar, Messi. Payet, to an extent, he plays against him in training every single day, and Payet's literally ripping that league up, and he's probably having to defend him every day in training. He's playing with top players. They got to the semi-final of the Europa Conference League, or whatever it was called. You know, he's played in the Europa League this season, played against big teams, big clubs. Marseille is a big club. The pressure, I don't think, is going to get to him. Marseille are a massive club. Those French boys are a little bit rowdy when it comes to their football, and you know, the reaction that Marseille fans are giving to him leaving tells me that we have got a player on our hands, because only rarely would you get that upset about a player like us when Mr. Gail Platt himself snaked us for City. We got upset about that because we know the type of player he is. And I think this is so exciting. Obviously, any updates on any other transfers, guys, I'll be able to pump these videos out a bit quicker now, just because of how I'm recording them. It's a lot easier for me. I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments. What do you guys think? If you have watched to the end, comment down below. Yes, Kamara's going to be a success. No, Kamara's going to flop. I want to hear your opinions and any other transfers that you think might be coming in. I've got another video planned this week. We'll see what happens with all the transfers that are going on. The boys are all on holiday now. Well deserved. I've been behind the ball. You guys have been the Villa family. I'm out.